Everyone believes the Maus was Germany's biggest mistake. You are wrong. The parade of mediocrity is longer, uglier, and far more expensive in blood and treasure. Forget the myths about invincible cats and wonder weapons. The real disaster is at number 1, the machine that chewed through crews while promising glory and delivering scrap. Stay sharp, because this list is a countdown of delusion, incompetence, and wishful thinking plated in armor that could not stop a door hinge. Think the worst is obvious. It is not. The punchline waits at the end, and it is merciless. Number 10. The M3 Lee. The promise was a stopgap beast with a big gun to swat panzers in the desert. The reality was a 2-story barn with a sponson gun welded to the hull, unable to aim from hull-down positions, burdened with too many crew and too little sense. The engine ran hot, and air filters choked in dust, and the turret gun was an afterthought. Tall, clumsy, and a perfect target. As one crewman spat, "We fought the tank as much as the enemy." If that seems awkward, wait until number 9. Number 9. The Renault R35. The promise was a compact infantry shield, thick for its day. The reality was a crawling museum exhibit by 1940, with a one-man turret that turned the commander into a gunner, loader, and radio operator. Top speed was a slow jog, armor was brittle cast, and the tiny gun struggled against even early panzers. Crews learned that retreat meant abandonment, because it could not outrun a bicycle. A French veteran summed it up with, "It felt like fighting from a closet with a peephole." If that is cramped, number 8 overheats worse. Number 8. The British Covenanter. The promise was a modern cruiser tank for fast warfare. The reality was a cooling system so catastrophically bad, it was kept in Britain for training, because it boiled itself dry on a mild day. Radiators in the front, poor airflow, and engines that coughed themselves to death meant it fought only depots and patience. Suspension cracked, crews cooked, and reliability was a punchline. One driver sneered. The only thing it conquered was the maintenance bay. If a tank cannot reach the battlefield, it cannot lose on it, right? Wait for number 7. Number 7. The Soviet T-60. The promise was a cheap scout to fill the ranks in the worst year. The reality was a 2-man panic box with a 20-millimeter pop gun that bounced rounds off German fronts like pebbles on a pond. Armor was thin, visibility was worse, and radios were often absent, so commands were flags and prayers. Engines strained at road marches, tracks shed under stress, and crews died trying to pretend it was a real tank. A Red Army quip went, "We brought a sewing machine to a gunfight." If that stings, number 6 burns. Number 6. The Japanese Type 95, Hago. The promise was mobile infantry support across jungles and islands. The reality was a gasoline-fueled tinderbox with armor that a heavy machine gun could perforate. A one-man turret meant the commander did everything badly, and the lack of radios forced hand signals in gunfire. The main gun was anemic. The suspension bucked, and maintenance was primitive. Against Shermans and even Stuarts, it was a sad joke. A Pacific veteran muttered, "It felt like an armored rice cooker." If that seems cruel, number 5 is a museum piece that went to war. Number 5. The British Matilda I. The promise was an infantry tank with armor beyond contempt. The reality was a painfully slow brick armed with only a machine gun, a shield with no sword. Top speed was walking speed. The gearbox groaned, and the crew suffocated in noise and fumes. Crossing rough ground meant prayer and a tow truck. When panzers showed up with real cannons, it became a steel coffin with good manners. A soldier sighed, "We could not chase or kill, only die politely." If that was outdated on arrival, number 4 is oversized and underthought. Number 4. The Soviet T-35. The promise was a land battleship, multiple turrets, and overwhelming firepower. The reality was a mechanical calamity, a parade ground terror that collapsed on real roads. Final drives shattered on gentle slopes, gearboxes seized, and the vast crew drowned in intercom failure. Most T-35s lost in 1941 died by breakdown or abandonment, not enemy fire. Turrets could not coordinate, and armor was mediocre for the size. One crewman groaned. It was 5 bad tanks bolted together. If that seems absurd, number 3 is famous, and not for the right reason. Number 3, the German Panther early models. The promise was a cutting-edge Predator with a deadly long gun. The reality in its debut was transmission failures, final drives that snapped under torque, and engines that cooked themselves into flames. At Kursk, many died before meeting the enemy, with road marches ending in smoking wrecks. Yes, when running it killed, but that was the problem. It rarely ran. Field notes read like an obituary for impulse engineering. A mechanic cursed. It hunted our hours more than their tanks. If that hurts pride, number 2 is heavier nonsense and even more useless. Number 2, the German mouse. The promise was invincibility, armor so thick it laughed at physics. The reality was a 2-piece sideshow that could not cross bridges, could not be transported easily, and could barely turn without tearing the earth. It demanded a logistics miracle for a weapon that did not exist in numbers. It wasted resources, time, and engineering sanity. Only a handful of trials, no battlefield purpose, a monument to hubris. A test driver grunted. It was a bunker that accidentally moved. If that is the biggest mistake, the real disaster at number 1 bled armies. Number 1. The Italian M1340. The promise was a proper medium tank to give Italian armor a backbone in North Africa. The reality was a riveted death trap that stapled crews to their fate. Rivets popped inward when hit, turning into white-hot shrapnel that tore men apart. Armor was thin, the gun mediocre, and the engine, starved of good air filtration, died in desert dust with depressing regularity. Gearboxes failed, steering clutches faded, and fuel lines invited fires. Many units entered battle with tanks that could not finish a day's march, and those that did arrived late, overheating, and undergunned. British and Commonwealth forces shredded them, and when they did not, the desert did. The human cost was gruesome. Crews cooked inside or bailed out into artillery. The M1340 filled prisoner cages faster than cemeteries only because it broke before killing its crew. Entire companies evaporated in single engagements, abandoned on dunes like metal tombstones. The machine asked brave men to do an impossible job with second-rate tools. One bitter tanker said, "It was a coffin that needed a tow." This was not just poor design, it was negligent engineering dressed as doctrine. It wasted lives, time, and any hope of armored credibility for an entire army. Call it the worst, because it combined catastrophic unreliability, fatally bad protection, and predictable mechanical failure with a campaign that magnified every weakness and then doubled the suffering. The verdict is brutal. War does not forgive optimism painted green. From overheating trainers to multi-turret hallucinations, from tall barns to riveted coffins, these tanks proved that bad design kills faster than enemy fire. Did a worse one slip the net? Say which and say why in the comments. If you enjoyed this, tap like and subscribe. It really helps. And drop a quick comment telling us where you're watching from. The United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else in the world. Your reply helps the video reach more people just like you.